Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Matthew McConaughey.
Brad Gilmore.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The one and only Sydney Sweeney joins us. Sydney, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Tom Hanks and Robin Wright in my favorite movie of the year. Guys, thanks so much for joining the show.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you. Jessica Alba and Lizzie Mathis. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Kevin Costner joins us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
One of my all-time favorites, Vince Vaughn, joins us right now. Vince, thanks, man.
Oh, great to be with you, Brad, and great to be talking to Houston. Good morning to you.
We got Owen Wilson. We got Judy Greer. Thanks for joining the show, guys.
Thank you.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
We got Anna Sawai joining the show. Anna, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Brad.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What looking to talk to me funny, lad.
Megan Trainor.
Thank you so much, Brad. You're awesome.
Paris Hilton, the infinite icon herself, is on the show. Paris, love the film.
Thank you. I'm so proud of it.
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat.
Hey, Rob, Brad Gilmore with the CW and ESPN. Thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on this 5th season.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
You know, when you were first setting out and getting this show on the road and putting it together before the first season came out, was this always like within the scope of like, I want to continue this series for as long as we can cultivate those ideas that we feel like can connect with the our intended audience? Or did you see it as like, I want to get this, you know, as an artist sees its first album, you know, I'm putting this first album out, I've worked my whole time on it, all my great ideas have gone into this, and then see what comes after that?
You know, we definitely saw this as a show that could go on as long as they would let us make them. You know, for as many kids as there are in the world, there's going to be that many sort of ways, perspectives on how kids navigate the world around us. And so every time, you know, we have a new perspective, you have a new story that can go with it.
So when you wrapped up season 4, like how quickly do we start game planning and thinking about the themes that we can explore season 5?
Well, really, in many ways, it becomes sort of a continuum from start to finish. It's sort of like every episode sort of builds onto the next one. And while we don't want to cover, old ground, it always becomes a challenge when you're trying to figure out, okay, what's next? How can we tell a story that we haven't seen before, not only in this show, but in all the shows? You want to definitely do something that feels fresh, that feels interesting, that feels exciting. And in terms of the stated goals of what our show is, that feels helpful and feels relevant, and that feels meaningful to the audience.
Have you been able to cultivate that skill? And I guess the answer is probably yes, but you could kind of explore how you were able to cultivate the skill of looking at it through the child lens. Because I feel like this is one of the things that's the most difficult thing to do after adolescence into adulthood. There's a lyric from a song I love that says, "Take me away to where I had a kid's innocence, because in a sense, that's what I've been missing ever since." Right. Yeah. And it talks of exploring that ideology and looking at it through the lens. How have y'all been able to cultivate that? And is it just a kind of a think tank that y'all get together and kind of popcorn the ideas?
There is a big fancy word I use sometimes called verisimilitude, where it is all about really capturing the truth of how kids think, how kids act, how kids are. A lot of that we remember from our own childhood. A lot of that we use by looking at our own kids, as we all had at a time young kids that we could model after. We use real little kids to voice act these ones. So just that in itself, giving them dialogue that sounds like something a real kid would say, and then letting a real kid say it, that gets us a long, long way towards that goal. But, that is a real challenge, because we, the people that make this show, we're grown-ups. And so we approach the world, we approach our art as grown-ups. And so, kind of turning back the clock and thinking how little kids would think is a challenge, but it also, in a lot of ways, is an absolute delight, because we get to relive those moments of our own life. We get to think back to those experiences when we see something or feel something for the first time. That's truly magical. And being able to capture that and capture it successfully, I think is one of the greatest successes of our show.
Well, you're absolutely right. And to me, like, I mean, I'm 33 years of age, and I have someone in my office who's 23. And when we talk, we're in completely different points of life. And something that relates to me doesn't relate to them. And I can only imagine if that's 13 or 12 or even 7 or 8 years old, how different that could possibly be. So do you in the staff, the writing staff that you have on the show, Stillwater season 5, we're talking about, do y'all have like a running idea log or like a great email chain or something where you go, hey, here's an idea, here's a perspective we haven't considered?
We do. And every season, we generally start off with a big, we call it a writer's summit, where we all get together, along with the writers, along with the other, creative stakeholders, the series directors, my co-showrunner, Drew Falkenstein, the producers. We get together and we basically spend a week just thinking. Thinking about the kids and what kids, what are scenarios that kids are going through, whether it's, having to give a presentation at school and having stage fright, or leaving your favorite stuffed animal on the train and then having to face the idea of maybe never getting it back. Those are big, weighty issues, but those are things that we can think of, like, okay, here's a great idea that, we can center a story around. So, and then we kind of go back and reverse engineer it in the way, like, okay, well, so how would a kid react in this kind of a situation? What are the feelings that they would have? And, feelings are universal. That's one thing, regardless of the age, you can put your own mind in. And then once we have that, we can sort of build out from there.
Well, when it comes, one more question about the writing process, because I'm kind of fascinated by everything that you're telling me here. My favorite movie is Back to the Future, right? Yes. Which also really talks about adolescence and teenagehood and coming of age. But Bob Gale and Bob Zemeckis, who wrote it, they used the note card method. This is what we want. Marty invents skateboarding. We have to establish that he can skateboard earlier in the film. When you're putting together a storyboard for something like this, is a method like that helpful when you talk about reverse engineering of this is the eventual goal, so we need to establish this early on, or what's the exact process that y'all use?
Well, again, it really begins with a solid, relatable story, and typically that's a feeling. Like, let's do a story about jealousy. Let's do a story about grief and loss. Let's do a story about a misunderstanding and how the lack of sort of clear communication between two people might lead to even bigger feelings. And then we sort of build the plot around that. But story and feelings always come first, and then the what happens comes after. We have a brilliant, talented team of storyboard artists that can take our written scripts and the dialogue and voice actors' performances, and then turn that into a beautifully illustrated depiction of that script. And then that we have now something that we can give to the animators and allow them to really, truly bring it to life.
Was there a particular topic, feeling, or story for season 5 that when it was pitched, you're like, oh, this is great, but it was almost a little bit of an intimidation of how are we going to do this in the best way to deliver to our intended audience?
We did, and we for our last final episode of the season is one that is a bit of a weightier topic, and we deal with life and death in a very real, but also in a very sensitive and deliberate way that really does that sort of goes beyond religion and faith, but in a way that feels real and relatable to kids. This is one of the universal truths in life. And we thought it's important that at some point in our show that we find a way to talk about it, but not only that, but talk about how about death and loss can what kind of feelings that can create, and let's talk about those, and let's talk about how we can navigate these feelings, but also have some sense of understanding and sort of meaning in the process of the continuum of life and death.
Well, it's a big topic, but what y'all been able to do with this show is find a way to connect to the audience and do so in the best possible way. So congratulations on this 5th season, and I really do appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Brad. Lovely talking with you.
All right, have a good one, Rob. Thank you, everybody.
Too.